on my lunches. I was like, I'm going to punch out when it's time for me to have my lunch and I'm going to sleep. Like I have promised myself this,
That's self-care. Naps are self-care.
but I ain't did it yet. So
Sis, hello, sis.
I ain't did it yet. But I keep saying that I'm going to do it. But
So that means we're going to do it. We're going to add that to the routine. We're
I
going to
really do want
get
to
a
do that.
nap
I
when you
think
need it.
if you got a nap like every day, I just wonder how productive each person would be if they actually had a nap. Like
Cause
even
for
if it was
real,
just
midday you
15
start like fading. Hey, like midday for real, you
minutes.
start fading, and after that, you're not as productive because you focusing on staying awake.
That's me. That's me. And then
I
I
think they did a
daydream a
study
lot.
on it, sis. I think they did a study. Um, I think it was might have been overseas. I also might be making this up and was just wishing it was a thing, but they say it make you more productive. And
I
people
believe
they
it.
need to schedule in naps at work.
I really believe it. And I keep saying, like, I was trying to do a whole self study where I was like, every day I'm going to punch out for real from work,
Do
especially
it.
since I'm at home. And I set up the alarm on my phone and everything. I was like, every day I'm going to have a lunchtime nap. No, no. And then I scheduled it around the time, like, because, my kids are still learning, so they're still here. So I was like, they be on their lunch. So if they need help, like, they won't be bothering me. I can sleep for my little 15-minute power nap. But
I'm in the comments. We need a 1 hour nap.
yes, it happens in other countries. In other countries, they
See,
do
that's what I was
actually
saying.
you do actually have like nap time in other countries. Because it makes you more productive. But towards the middle of the day, I was cool today because I actually work today. I had stuff to do today,
Work, work.
so I work for real. I earned a paycheck today, and so I was up, but now I'm starting to get that like that evening lag where I'm like, oh, it's only 8 o'clock. Okay, let me get on this live and do this hour so I can hurry on to bed. And then, I call myself being a young lad this weekend, celebrating the 10
Not a
years.
young lad. You was out here getting your life.
I tried it. I tried it, sis. I'm still recuperating though. I'm still like, yeah.
Getting one's life. You know
It,
what? You earned it though. So it's like, even though you got to recoup, okay,
look,
you
and when
deserved it. It's
we
about
both
I
in here,
deserve.
we both in here tired. It ain't just me. Robert tired too. Because this morning the alarm went off. We both was like, we gonna do this. We gonna do this. We gonna get up and be adults, like full on adults
We got
today.
an adult today.
We gonna
Hey
be
Gino.
grown. Hey Gino, welcome, welcome. So I have got to get back on my grind with making sure that I'm promoting when we're going to come live. We did not come live 2 weeks ago because we are supposed to be bi-weekly, but we had to reschedule a conversation. So, and then everything in the kitchen sink was happening 2 weeks ago. Like, I don't know what's been going on with, well, Xfinity is from the pits of hell anyway. Um, so it's no
Infinity bits of hell.
Rosemary's Baby, okay? I am
What you on
sick
with
of
Xfinity
them.
or what they on with you?
I'm sick of them, okay? I am tired of their service. I think everybody has been weird lately. It seems like, I don't know, this supposed to be high internet, but like 2 weeks ago, I was all in presentations. These poor babies was like, is she frozen? And I'm talking to them and I'm hearing them saying, am I frozen? And I'm like, no, I'm not frozen. Yes, I'm frozen. So it was just one of them days. And
Relationship
I was
game.
like, you know what? Let's just start over. But we are here. And yes, Gino, I'm so sorry I missed your call. Gino will
Oh,
be hopefully joining us soon as he's finished taking care of his patients at home and keeping everyone nice and healthy. But he's gonna come and join us because we never had the other talk about male protection and what that means to them and how they can see that, maybe we're not feeling as protected and having that conversation from a male perspective. So we still intend to have that conversation as soon as Gino can join us. And then hopefully we'll have a couple of other men that are willing to come on in the space and talk about that. But today, I thought it was very important to talk about love and how we teach our kids about love moving forward, and not just uh, being in love, but love with family members, love with self. Like, there's a lot of generational curses in there that we don't explore a lot. And I had the most beautiful conversation with my baby girl a couple of days ago. This was just yesterday, actually, where it was like a whole hour. So this was one day where I didn't get that lunchtime nap because I was in productive conversation. And she, was like, can she run some things by me? And I was like, yeah, of course. I'd be happy. I got a whole teenager and she want to talk to me about any and everything. So I'd be always open to that. And so she was like, I think I understand what I need to look for in love when it comes to dating people and how to treat myself and my expectations. She said, but can I tell you if what they are? And I've talked to you about them before. Can you tell me if I'm on the right track? So I said,
Hold on, pause right there. We just gonna snap it up for Mama because the
no.
communication skills,
Uh,
the
you
growth, the self
know,
love importance.
I'm sure every parent out there has felt this, but there are times where I be in here like I am screwing up. I really feel like and I think I'm doing a lot as a mom. I think I'm trying to put my best foot forward, but every now and then, again, you have a day when you just sit back and be like, I'm messing these kids up. They're going to grow up and they're going to be dysfunctional. And it's going to be all my fault. They're going to look at them and say, what did your mama do to you? And that's like my biggest fear. I don't want them to grow up and be adults where somebody be like, oh, your mama messed you up, or oh, your mama didn't, or oh, mama get
And
blamed.
that's trauma because we've all met someone that said that.
Hey,
And we
I
be like, oh, please don't let that be my kids.
I have said that about people. So I don't want to be that person. So, when we have these conversations, it's confirmation that I'm on the right track. So I'm like, okay, because when she left, I low key had a whole little tear that came down my eye where I was like, I'm doing something right. Because this is stuff that I talk to both of them about, because I want her to know what the expectations are, but I also want my son to understand that he's worthy of this type of love. This is when someone cares about you. And I have those conversations with him a lot, but I also not as much as I want to have them now because my daughter's entering like dating stage, like dating age. She'll be 16. So I'm like, I really need to kind of hone in on these conversations. And it really, really, for me, it put things in perspective. Like, I am breaking some of these generational curses and stuff. And it wasn't that my mom didn't tell me that I was worthy of this, this, and this. Like, I heard that a lot growing up, not just from her, but from my brother and my father. And, everyone was very expressive on what my worth was. But I also think that and my mom's trauma in certain things in love, she made me very, very, very afraid of love. Very, very afraid of the power that love can have over you with stuff, and having control and just all of these things. And I had a lot of guards up. Like, I even had guards up even with Robert. So it was like, I think she's getting the healthier form or ideology of what it means to love outwardly and what she should be expecting back from just anybody, like any and everybody. Because it's not just when you're dating, but your friendships, right? That was a big learning lesson for me. I think I'm hitting a place in life where my circle is closing in. Um, but it's closing in and it's shifting a lot too. Like, I'm seeing different people in that circle. And I'm really learning that because that was a trauma for me. I was terrible at giving too much in friendships, giving too much for a lot of stuff. So I just wanted to have that conversation today, sis, just about love and how we break the generational curse moving forward of what we expect from love. What does healthy love look like? That's something we kind of nitpick at, but then we don't really dive deep into it. So let's do that in this hour or this
Let's
45 minutes
do
of
it.
time left. Let's do it, sis. So
Love is such an interesting topic.
and
It's such an interesting topic. Now, self love, like we can talk about the importance of it, like realizing the importance of it, and then executing is two different things.
yeah,
Me, y'all know I'm 100. I definitely understand and realize the importance of it all day and night. I advocate for it all day, every day. You better love yourself. You better treat yourself right. You better talk to yourself
yes,
right. But then I be over here and I need to execute. Okay, I don't execute all the time. I ain't perfect. Okay, but I'm
right.
working on it. But then when you come to love, like everybody has a different, like loving someone else, whether it be relationship wise or family wise or friendship wise. People have so many different definitions of love based on their upbringing, based on what they've
Mhm.
seen, based on trauma that they've experienced. So it's so interesting because everybody's, and then the different love languages on top of that, just in general, people have different love languages. So love is so interesting of a topic because you have to kind of tap into all of those subsections. But at the root of it, I feel like the first thing we should say is that everybody loves differently. Everybody
Mm.
love differently.
Yes,
Everybody experiences love differently. Everybody shows love differently. It's
perceives it
different,
differently.
perceives it differently. It's
Yeah.
different for different people. So before we dive into all the genres and how other people feel and how it's all the different things, I think that's straight up first point. It's different for everybody. And that's why communication is so important. And that's why I love that baby girl was like, Ma, let's talk about it. I got my notes. Let's bring yours to the table and figure this thing out and see what works. And
I learned a lot about her idea of love, and what she's going to be looking for when she is dating too. And that told me a lot about her love language, which I kind of think I already know because I love, she's, she's loved by me. So I know what things really move her, what things don't really move her as much, what stuff she gets super excited about, or that I could tell like her little emotional wheels are turning. But to hear it from her perspective outwardly, that was one of the things she
that's
brought
a
up.
whole teenager girl.
I mean, I have my moments where I'm like still struggling with that because this is my firstborn baby. And I am a lioness when it comes to my cubs. Like, I don't play about my babies, even the ones that I did not birth, even though if they didn't come from my womb, if they're my baby, they're my baby, and I don't play
You should.
about my babies. And so, it's a very scary thing that she's getting or she's approaching dating age
Hold
because
on,
I'm
hold on. I'm
just
gonna let
like,
you finish. But how daddy feel about this?
so he is trying to be, I'm very proud of him. I'll say that. Um, One of the things that I really appreciate about Robert, especially as we've started hitting like these growth years with both kids, is for him doing some self evaluation on what his idea of parenting was supposed to look like versus what type of kids he had, because that doesn't always work. So we have to love
Be
our kids.
aligning sometimes.
Yeah. So, everybody has this idea of what type of parent they're going to be. And then they don't realize that it also depends on what type of kids you have, because not everything works for everybody. Back to those love languages, right? So he's been doing a phenomenal job of checking when that inner instinct in him is kind of coming through, and he's learning his poker face when certain conversations come up or certain things come up. Because at first he had no poker face. Like, if something came up and it mortified him, It was everywhere. And the babies would
Girl,
pick up on that. They would be like, okay, so I can't talk to daddy about that.
he ain't ready. He ain't ready
So
yet.
they would come to me and I would push them like, no, he wants to hear what's going on too. It's just daddy, he's daddy. He's, you his little girl. And I like you his son. So it's like he's gonna kind of struggle with these things. So now his poker face is mean. I'm proud because some things be
Okay,
coming up.
growth.
Growth. It's growth. So his poker face is much, much better because we've had some conversations where I've been kind of like, hold it together, Robert, hold it together. And he actually holds it together. But with dating, I think we're on the same page at this point where we know it's coming and we can't stop it. We know how teenagers are. When you try to stop it, it does not work. And so, what we want is our kids to have the most safest experiences possible with dating, in all aspects. One of the things that I love about Mariah that she said when we had this conversation where I was like, Lord, my baby is listening to me. Oh my God. She said that she's not prioritizing physical intimacy as a kid. Like she's like, I am in no rush to do that. She said that is something that you have to take
Come on.
seriously. She's
Come
like, and it
on.
shouldn't happen with just anybody. And I was like, and everybody doesn't get me like that. And I want to save that part of me
Come
for
on.
the right person. So I was like, okay, okay, because I've
Job
always
well done, mommy.
I be trying, I be
And
here
Popo.
talking,
Okay.
I be here talking, and she's listening to that. I've shared with her my experiences, and my mistakes, and so she brought that up. She's very appreciative that I told her the truth about my first time and what type of fallout I had emotionally, mentally, as a response to that, and why I don't want that to be her experience and all of those things. So I've sat down and I've had conversations with her very openly
Shout out to
about
the
it
transparency.
because that's what gets the job done. But there's also a way to do it also because my mom was transparent, but my mom in a lot of ways, you know how she wasn't like his mom in the form of she lied about stuff, but she had that same mannerism about her. Have you ever seen The Water Boy?
Yeah.
So Kathy Bates when she's like he's a devil, and just the way she would talk to Bobby about stuff, where she
Mm.
had like that sternness and that conviction and that tone. That was how my mom's tone was when she would tell me the truth. Like she didn't sugarcoat a lot of stuff, but it was also scary. It was just like the way she would give it to me, it
Like
felt doom and gloom.
traumatizing.
Yeah, it felt very doom and gloom sometimes where I was just like, okay, well, if this happens and this can happen. And I always found myself thinking the worst, like the worst possible scenario in love and just certain things. First, like, okay, if it don't go this way, well, more than likely it's not gonna go this way, kind of a mentality. And I didn't want to give that to her. It wasn't that my mom did it wrong. Her thing was that she didn't want me to make the same mistakes that she made either. But I just think there's a finessing that has to take place when we're doing that with our babies and when we're doing that with our kids. That I wanted to make sure that I had in my transparency with the little ones. So I'm transparent with both of them. She can ask me anything. We go in our bubble space. That bubble is I can ask you whatever I want. And I have to answer it openly, honestly, without judgment, without punishment. Like this is a safe place to put it all out on the table. And I can say these kids have been very mature, responsible with the bubble space. So it gets kind of
Real.
interesting. It's real.
Shit gets real.
I really advise all parents to have a space, provide a space like that for their kids. I really think that is why, like, I'm not saying my kids tell me every single thing, but boy, do they tell me a lot. Sometimes I'm not even prepared for the lot, and I have to kind of go and process too. Or they'd be like, okay, they told me all of this, and I'd be so glad that they did. But then I'm sitting in the room just kind of processing, and then Robert come home, and I'd be like, it's been one of them days. One of them
But I
days.
think that's a beautiful thing that they feel comfortable enough to share with you. I think that's, as parents, in my opinion, that's one of the most important things that we can do, is create a safe space for our children to communicate with us. Because I work with youth and they don't feel heard, and they don't feel like their parents are even listening to them, or that they can share with them. So when ish hit the fan and stuff get real out here in these streets or in schools or wherever it's getting real at, and they don't have someone that they know is going to ride for them, listen to them, and have their back, but also tell them the truth and keep it 100, then that puts our kids in a really dangerous predicament. Also, I think is finding that balance. Like, honestly, sis, I feel like you have, where it's, you can be honest with me. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. I'm going to be transparent with you, but I'm not going to make you a fearful person.
That
I
part.
think a lot of the times, in trying to preserve our children and keep them from harm, we scare them, but then they go through life afraid. I don't want a scared child. I don't want a scared human being, because that keeps them from experiencing, that keeps them from living, that keeps them from loving wholly, that keeps them, you know what I'm saying? If fear is like a mental fog, and it
Mhm.
blocks certain things. So instead of seeing a fun situation or a loving situation, you just scared of it. You're not
Yeah.
even gonna try. It stunts you. It keeps you frozen. I actually just bought my son because I see some of those things in him, and I'm like, is that me? Does that come from me? Where he's scared to do certain things. I also know that he watches certain things on YouTube, and I'd be like, cut that out, because
Right.
then
Ooh.
he'd be like, oh, I'm scared of what? What you scared of? Like,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? Because the kid on TV scared, now you magically scared too. Like, no, we're not doing that. So, or he'll be afraid to try new things. And so I bought him a book. Shout out, this is a plug. I should run over there and grab it real quick. This is a plug. I just bought a brand new book, Black author, okay, young black man, super dope book. Randomly found him on Facebook and started looking at the book and was like, yes, and just bought the book. Bought four of them actually, but it's called The Doubt Bug. And shout out to Andre Russell, because his
Yes.
brown boys, he read the book with his brown boys, and that's probably how he ended up coming up in People You Should Know or something like that. And I saw the book and I loved it, and I was like, yes, this is what I need, because I'm trying to train him to not let the doubt get to him, because you're gonna be afraid of some things. And I tell him this. I talk to my son like a human being. I don't know. We're gonna talk about it. You have to do things afraid sometimes. Sometimes things are going to
Do
scare you,
it
and
scared.
you have to do it afraid,
You
and
have
believe that you can, and don't let doubt get the better of you, because doubt is going to always tell you you can't do it, or you less than, or you this, that, and the third. And that's what's happening in the book. And so I loved it, because at the first time reading it, we got like a couple pages in, and he's already, because I don't want to get a book away. Or should I get a book away? Y'all need this book, is what I'm
we're
saying.
just gonna make sure that we share the book details on all of the pages so that people can find the book. But don't
Yes.
give up the book
Okay,
completely.
I won't give
Like
up the
the
book
gist of
completely,
the
but
book.
he's screaming affirmations to himself, and he's, you know what I'm saying. After first read, he's like he wants to read it again. I think I reread it twice in one day, and then after that, we
Yes.
darn near read it every day after that. So it's like it's his new favorite book, and he loves it, and he's squishing the doubt bug. He hitting the book. I'm like, dang, this new book, don't break it though, babe. You know what I'm saying? And he's squishing the doubt bug, and he's like, that's not right. And I'm like, absolutely, son. Because I can't just read the book. I gotta gas the book while I'm reading it. So
Yeah.
now he doing the same thing. He like, yeah, doubt bug. You know?
But it's so important, and I'm glad that there's literature out there for our kids, especially our little black boys, to read with that, because that can be applied even to love. Like I've told her,
Absolutely.
like, listen, you gonna get your heart broke. It's just gonna happen, and
And
I
so
need
many
you to
people are
know
afraid to love
they.
because we had a conversation with the young people I'm working with now. They're middle schoolers. Most of them are like eighth grade. Some of them are in seventh. So seventh, eighth grade. And it's so disheartening because they legit don't want to let people in. And the
Mhm.
wall is so thick at like 12, 13.
Yep.
It's like, wow. It's
Yep.
it's really disheartening. We were having a conversation. We were listening to the first verse of "Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls," right? Because the whole class is about emotions and how you can use your art to emote or whatever. And so they go over and they like, I can't really understand what she's saying. They joking and stuff. So I start saying the lyrics. And the
Right.
first verse is about her son. She can't reach him. She praying for him. He another body laying cold in the
Down
gutter.
the street. Girl, you talking to a 80s baby. I can
You
sit up
feel
here
me?
and sing the whole waterfall song. So,
You feel me? And
I
then the video is even more, perfect because it really
see
show it's cinematic.
and you was a baby when this originally came out. So imagine for those of us that like actually knew
But
what
the
was going
crazy part
on.
was it wasn't even my suggestion. I asked the kids to pick a song, and one of the girls in the class was like, "Can we
Oh,
please play this one?" And I'm
she
like, "Come
got
on,
some
baby
good
girl,
parents. She got some
absolutely
good
we
parents. They
can,
teaching these kids real music.
absolutely we can." You
Real
feel
music.
me? And so that's how the song came up. One of the little girls asked for it, and so we played it, and I'm like, "Perfect." I mean, it was a perfect song to really discuss, and they didn't really get it. They were, rapping to it, but they really didn't get it. So I started saying the words. And then even after that, I was like, now, how does this make you feel? One young man was like, it sounds like life. Like, it sounds like it may be his reality. And I'm like, that punched me. I ain't gonna lie. And then another little girl punched me right after that. And she was like, well, it ain't my son. And I'm like, oh,
Mm.
ah, is these how our babies are emotionally are feeling out here? And she was numb to it. And she was just like, yeah,
They
and
are
everybody in
feeling
the
that
class
way.
was like, yeah, that's how she is. And we kind of dived into it a little later. And she was basically saying, like, she don't want to open herself up to being hurt. And that's why she's so cold. And I
Mm-hmm.
get that because the world is hard. Life is hard. But a life without love isn't a life worth living. And I'm not talking about just like relationships, boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever it is. Wife. I'm saying love, family love, friendship love, platonic love, love for what you do, love for humanity, love for your children, love for spouses and partners. Love, like literally, that's the only reason why I'm here. Like love. If love can heal all, cure all, fix all if it's real. You know what I'm saying? And if you can't experience that, oh, you a zombie. You just out here floating.
Okay, so I don't want to have the impression that love is a cure all for everything because it is not. And I think that
That's why I
that
say it is real, because all this love ain't real.
even if it's real, you can love somebody. And this is actually one of the things I brought up to my daughter when we spoke about this topic was that baby, you can love somebody from the depths of your toenails to your hair follicles and be trying to love them in a space that they need and they say that they want, and that person's still not able to give you what you need and want, or them not being healthy for you. And I think that that was really important for me to tell her that because I think part of the problem in the generational curse of love is that as Black women, especially, we are like taught from very young, well, some of us are taught that we need to just love and you can love him through it. Like you can love
Oh
this
no, that's not what I was saying.
and you can love them no matter what. And when you love somebody well enough, it's gonna change them as a person and it's gonna make
Mm-mm.
them straighten up and fly right. So love isn't a cure-all.
You
It
can't
isn't
change nothing but your clothes.
look, that's it. So it's not a cure-all, it's not a fix-all, but love, excuse me, is very, very powerful. It is an
So when I say
absolutely
that, I
powerful.
mean philosophically, when I think about life and I think about how we exist on this plane of existence, right? And I think about the problems of the world. It's
Mm-hmm.
coming from a lack of love. It's also coming from a lack of the four agreements. Y'all know how I feel about them four agreements.
We
But it's also coming from a lack of love. Because if you loved yourself a certain way, you wouldn't do certain things to yourself. And if you loved yourself for real, you couldn't do certain things to other people. If you love someone, you're not gonna want to hurt them. You're not gonna want to steal, kill, boo, boo, boo. So that's what I mean when I say that. I'm definitely not advocating for staying with nobody that ain't don't need to be stayed with. Okay. Listen, the way life is set up, people of all ages, young or old, because it starts, most of the trauma and the craziness in relationships starts with these teenagers. I need y'all to be 100 with that. And it
Whew.
continues on into adulthood. These kids' relationships be crazy. And
They
when they get
are toxic.
Yo,
Toxic. There are things happening in teen dating that parents have no idea are happening.
yeah.
Um, there are things happening in young adult dating that loved ones have no understanding that it's happening. And I blame a lot of things about that. I blame some of the messaging that we're sending from a very young age to our youth. I blame the media. Yes, I'm going to do the cliche blaming the media
Yeah,
because I think
because they're
that
part of the problem.
it paints love in this very unhealthy, toxic environment. And so that becomes the
It paints
gauge.
that as goals.
Yes, that becomes the compass on, okay, this person loves me. They're going to be jealous and they're not going to want me to do all of these things.
Foolishness.
They're going to be
You better
possessive.
get a
And it's
life.
like, wait a minute, actually, if that person is being that way, that is unhealthy because
And that's a
trust is a
problem within
part
that
of
person. Like
it's a
going
problem
through
with
phones and checking emails and doing all of this stuff.
that.
Crazy it seemed is normal. And that ain't love. Like if you love me, you trust me. And if you can't trust me, you don't need to be with me. And if I
And
don't trust you, I'm gone as well. So let's talk about that at the
look,
gate.
and
But
my motto
media
is
creates
checking
these
the phone,
unhealthy
checking
habits.
the email, chasing after somebody. A person is going to
Mm,
do whatever they want to do, no matter
period.
how much you following, how much you checking. Being committed, however the commitment is agreed upon between those people, is that it's a commitment, it's an agreement. That person is making a choice to fulfill that commitment, and nothing you do, nothing you say is going to deter them from doing something outside of that agreement, outside of that commitment. And so
And
I
that's
don't
why
see the point.
communication is important when it comes
Mhm.
to love. And going back to the initial point, like everybody loves differently, everybody sees it differently, and it's different for everybody. So like polyamory, and
It's
you know what
going.
I'm saying? That doesn't mean that person don't love them three people that they with, or however many. You know what I'm saying?
Not saying that I'm trying to have a polyamorous relationship, but I think it's also interesting that people can assume that you can't love somebody like that. I mean, it's the same thing when you're about to have another child, right? And
Hmm.
you be like, am I gonna be able to love this child as much as the next? Or you be so worried because you just love this little person so much. It's like, can I really squeeze that into a whole nother person? And then the baby gets here, and you're like, oh my god, I just love them like more than I thought I had the
I love
capacity.
them all.
That's the thing about it. Like, I love hundreds of people. Like, I literally love hundreds of people. I ain't saying I like all of them, but I still love them. I love all of them folks. Like every last one of them. Um with fierceness, right? But that doesn't mean that I think people just assume that it's impossible for you to share that love when really that is a level of control in itself. That it's like you have to have all of your attention on me. You have to have all of your containment to love on me. And so I think that polyamory is interesting. The more I learn about people that are in poly relationships, I think it's a very interesting concept because it's not all sexual. And that's the thing too. People just assume
Yeah.
it's about having sex with all these people and there's these orgies, and it's not. Like, a lot of polyamorous relationships are not even physically intimate. They're just having intimacy in a different level, on a different plane with other people.
And to be really honest, we only feel that way about polyamory because of society. If someone didn't tell you you're only supposed to be with one person forever and ever, amen, then you probably wouldn't be, to be 100% honest, because half of y'all out here polyamorous and your partner just don't know about it.
Hmm.
Okay. So
Hmm.
if you're going to be 100 about it,
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
we're gonna be 100 about it, people have been dating, or should honestly, in my opinion, be dating multiple people anyway, until you say, again, communication is important. I'm in a committed relationship with you and only you, and making sure that other person is good with that, not just because that's what you want. Because then we'd be mad when he be out here cheating with Kim and Keisha, when he never wanted to be in a monogamous relationship to begin with, but you pressured him into it. Or it's vice versa, because there's men out here like, nah, just me, and she be like, but I got a date with Kevin tonight. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
have a question, sis.
what's that?
For you,
Hmm.
what was your idea of love before versus your ideal of love now? Because
Ah,
I think
but
that what's really unique about like my generation and your generation is that we are the ones that we're really starting to kind of push back on the cycles of generational trauma and ideologies than before, and we're the persons that are really starting to break some of those curses. And I've learned a lot. So like based on what my idea of love was before, I was when I was a kid to when I became a teenager in my first serious relationship, to me as a married woman of many, many years and being with the person for many, many, many years, over almost 2 decades at this point. Um, this dude done been up in here, but anyhow, so I've noticed that my idea is constantly evolving, even now, like even to this point, been in it for a while, that it's shifting. What have some of the shifts been in your idea of love over time, over the history of Nat? Gotta lay it on us. I done stressed some
man,
mess. It's the way you make that, like, oh Lord, I'm gonna ask this
man.
question.
Honestly, for me, yo, Disney, you hear me talking to you like flop, fairy tale hunty,
So
like
you were very fairy tale. I never got into fairy
young
tales.
Nat. Oh my
I'm
god,
writing
but
a
I'm
piece
still
about
the
that.
same way though. Like, okay, so let me
Okay, go ahead,
explain this
break it down.
transition. So, fairy tale, Disney, honey. Okay, yes, young Nat, love. And I still love. I just love so much. But as a kid or like growing up to like young adult Nat, loving love and the ideal of love versus knowing what it really was or what it really is. And so I always knew I wanted to be married from a very early age. It was like, I want to be a wife. I want to be a mom. I want to cook. I want to clean. I still want a career. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like from a very early age, that was goal. That was like, boom, I'm going to get married. I'm going to have kids. I'm going to be a mom. I'm going to cook. We're going to have dinners together. Like, both, both, both. That
Right.
was my mindset. As I guess, a lot of little girls do, right? But growing up, I didn't necessarily see what that looked like firsthand other than in movies and on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up with a single mom, my mom and dad got a divorce when I was like right after I was born. I was a baby. And then she got remarried, but like he wasn't the best. And so, short lived there as well. And but I knew I wanted to be in love. I knew I wanted to be a mom. I knew I wanted to be a wife. So very fairy tale expectations of love and not knowing what that looks like on the receiving end.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that I wanted to be a wife, that I wanted to be a mother, and what kind of wife and mother I wanted to be. I want, baby, you own the P's and the Q's, crossing the T's, dotting the
Well, yeah,
I's, you feel me? But
right.
on the receiving end of that, I didn't know what that looked like again, other
Mm-hmm.
than on TV or in movies. And so getting into relationships, I knew I wanted to be the best, right? Best girlfriend, best potential wife. I wanted to be that, whatever that was, and accepting less than I deserved.
Mm-hmm.
And so going forward into even my marriage, honestly, it was still that ideal of love. And then our story is so beautiful. Like my ex-husband and our story is beautiful. I was telling it the other day. I ain't mad at it at all. It was a beautiful story. And it was necessary and it was purposeful in my life. The marriage didn't work out, but the story is, I'm keeping that forever. But at the end of it and the beginning of it is, I knew what kind of woman I wanted to be coming to the table, and not knowing what I needed to receive in return, giving that type of energy that I was giving. And so I didn't get it back. And I wasn't going to. I'm never going to until I realize what I need to get in return. And so my idea of love shifts now more so than anything after the divorce and after the marriage, because now I'm like, I get it now.
Yeah.
I need to get that same energy of, wanting to be a wife, wanting to be a mother, wanting to be a good support. Because even just outside of a wife and a mother, I want to be a support. I want to be a helpmate. I want to be what the men say. I want to be the peace. You feel me?
The
But
peace.
I want to be his peace. I want to be a safe space for my partner. I want to be his friend. I want to laugh. I want to love. I want to play. I want to experience life with a person and be happy and experience that love that I love so much. But at the same time, I need to be getting those same things back. I need him to be my peace. I need him to be my partner.
Yes,
My
that
support.
part.
You know what
That
I'm saying? And so
yes.
that's where my journey has brought me to a point where I'm a little more realistic on I still feel the same way. I still want to love someone. I still love. That's never going to leave me. I still all of those are still existing. Now I just know what I need, what it looks like when it comes back in return, and what I'm looking for when it comes back in return, and I'm not giving all of the amazing me to anyone who doesn't deserve it and giving it back to me. And so it got realistic. And I think that's something when we talk about love, we should really put it in parameters in that way when we're talking to young people, like that conversation you had with your daughter, so that we don't have so many toxic youth relationships that leads to toxic traits and characteristics in relationships as adults
And
because
it's
of
so
trauma.
many though. It's so many. It's so much happening in teenage love and teenage and youth love that we're not talking about, and we really have to, because it's becoming more and more toxic. And as a result of trauma, there's a numbness that's happening amongst our youth. So it's filtering into every other aspect, how they feel about themselves.
Yeah.
And once they lose that self love, that inner love, when you start to feel like I don't matter and I'm not special enough for this, and this, then nobody is special enough, right?
And
And
you
nobody.
allow some foolishness that you shouldn't be allowing.
Exactly. Or you start being the person that is doing the foolishness to other
Yep.
people. And
Yep.
so, it's important that what I really appreciated about that conversation with her was her also saying, I'm working on loving me. So I was like, I'm working on loving myself no
Come
matter
on,
what.
baby.
And this is something
Yes.
with my daughter that, like, literally after this conversation,
Oh,
I had
real.
to go have a whole moment in my bedroom by myself to just kind of be like, oh, thank you, God. Because, like,
You said she
that
done
is
going
what
to
I
knock
want.
my head off and she ain't
Yeah.
even in here.
Because that is super important. Like, and it's super important coming from her, because we're talking about a young lady that was bullied very ferociously as a younger child, as a preteen. And so she struggled with a lot of confidence issues, a lot of things about herself. She's very quirky, she's different, she's the black girl out the box. She's not the normal typical black girl that likes, all of certain things. She likes rock and roll. She likes techno music. She's into anime. She's into things that most people in our community would say is weird or would ostracize her about. And so those were things about her that she was starting to hate herself for and wish that she was different. And as her mom, I was even worried, because I'm like, I know they pick on the strange kid. They pick on the different kids. So I was worried from a perspective of wanting to keep her physically safe. And I said the best way I could keep her safe is and making her live out loud in her truth, whoever she is, regardless of what anyone else does or thinks about it, because that is
Absolutely.
empowerment
Yeah.
more than anything. Because people want to be able to mold you, they want to be able to push you to be the person they want you to be. The power is in you being comfortable with who you are and being able to go against the grain. And so now
And
I've been
standing
spending
like 10
a lot of
toes
time.
down in that.
Man, and we've been spending a lot of time just investing in that. So to have her sit with me on this couch and tell me that she's working on loving herself, and she's been talking about her little self-love exercises that
Yeah.
she's been doing to kind of reinforce
Mama.
that, and how that is going to play a huge role for when she's out here dating. I'm just like,
I love that so much
But
because that's where it starts. And if we can get our babies, male and female, our babies, to love themselves
mm-hmm.
and really appreciate who they are and know who they are before they get into a relationship that molds and bends and shapes them in a negative way. Because as you grow and you're interacting with people, you're gonna mold and bend and shape because you're growing and molding and bending and shaping anyway. But the people you spend your time around, you mold and shape into them. And if we make it a point to say you need to always be striving and working towards your best self, and you need to be with people that are doing that as well. But first, you have to know who you are.
oof. And constantly keep a hold on who you are, because without it you get lost. And
Yeah.
that was probably one of the things in my own love journey that I had to kind of really understand, and that I'm trying to, prepare my kids for. One of the things that I struggled a lot was is when I became a mom, I got lost in the love of being a mother. Every single thing about me became about these little people that I was in charge of, right? And I neglected me. I stopped, you know, going after doing things. And I find myself, even now, as they're not little bitty babies, if they need me, I'd be like, I'm coming. Like, I'll drop everything. And I've had to kind of get to a space where I'm like, and now I'm saying it like, today, I'm human. I'm human. Mommy's human today. And
Mhm.
today, you're gonna have to figure this one out on your own. You're old enough and you're capable, and I have no doubt that you will be able to figure it out. And if I can help you after you've tried it on your own, then I'll do that. But today, I'm human and I'm tired and I have to focus on me. And I think I've given you enough tools to be able to handle this situation on your own. We've been making them cook more because it would be, mommy, I'm hungry. And what would I do?
Get
Get
up
up
and
and get in that
speak.
kitchen, make a whole meal. And it was like, I'm gonna need you to figure out how to take care of this yourself. Earlier today, Noraya asked me to make her some scrambled eggs. So I was making them, and then I got distracted with Robert. And so she was trying to finish them up. And I was like, then she saw me coming back to the stove, and I was like, no, you got it. And then she burnt her hand, so she almost quit. And I was like, are you okay? She said, yes, but it hurt. I said, but you'll live. Get your eggs. Get your
And
eggs.
that's making them self sufficient human beings. And that's sadly what we're lacking a bit of.
And
Is
it's love. It's teaching
sufficient
them
human beings.
love.
I
It's
love
teaching
you enough to want you to be able to take care of yourself. Because the thing is, I'm not going to always be here. And life ain't promised each second. So
them.
I need to know that you're going to be okay when I'm not here. And if I'm not making sure that you're okay when I'm not here, then I'm doing you a disservice as your parent. And I shared a video the other day. I think it might have been earlier today or yesterday, where it was a woman, it was a little girl, actually, teenager, not a little girl,
Mm-hmm.
teenager. And she was basically, because she was cursing and stuff, she had some colorful language. But
Oh,
what she was saying was like, I'm gonna pass by this colorful language because she's saying a point, and the point is what matters. And she's like, y'all out here tripping nowadays, thinking that it's a problem with your parents checking on you, seeing where you at. She like, yes, my mama know where I'm at. Yes, I have to be in the house at a certain time because she cares about me. Y'all out here talking about y'all grown like that's a flex. And you know what I'm saying? Y'all out 3-4 days and y'all parents ain't called you. She like, that's the problem. And I'm like, girl, yes, young lady. Yes. And
that's the problem with all of these babies tearing up downtown every time the weather get nice. They just be out here, and it be like, ain't no way in HE double hockey sticks at 16, I was finna be in somebody's downtown acting a plum fool. Ain't no way. Like, it just wasn't no way.
you hear
Because
me?
even at 16, I had a curfew. Okay. And if I did not make it back curfew, my parents was coming to find me. And if my parents
Had
had
to
to
come.
come and find me,
It was a problem.
if they had to literally get out of their homes, out of their bed, out of their house into their car, and they had to locate me,
It's a
I
problem.
better had needed medical attention, which was why I didn't tell them what was going on with me. That was the only excuse that I could have. And I feel like it's sad that we're seeing more and more kids not have that standard. They don't have those boundaries. They don't have those rules. And as
And
much as
that's where the
they push
balance
back,
comes in.
it does, but as much as they push back, sis, they want them rules because it shows that you love
Exactly.
them and care.
Because I am not an easy instructor. I hold you accountable. Listen, like going back to teaching these kids is different from the last groups I had. They different, honey. They is different. I just want to say that they different.
I see
Okay,
it in your eyes, sis. You like, whoo,
they
child.
is different. They different. That's all I'm gonna
Very
say.
different. Okay.
But
Sis.
But I've always loved teaching kids, and I'm not easy on them. I have standards for them. I tell them day one, I'm like, I respect you automatically, and you're going to respect me, period. Because you're a
Facts.
human being and you deserve to be respected, and so do I. It's not because I'm older than you, it's not none of that. You're a human being, you deserve to be respected. I'm going to respect you until you show me that I don't need to. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Of course, I always respect them, even when they get out of line.
Mhm.
But the thing is that I'm going to hold you accountable because I care. I'm going to hold you to these deadlines because I know you can do it. The teachers who just sit there and let you do nothing don't care about you, because
Mm.
when you get outside these walls and you get out into real
Right.
life, your boss is going to hold you to that deadline, or you ain't getting a check or won't have a job. Your landlord is gonna hold you to that rent payment need to be due on the third, or you ain't gonna have a place to stay. I'm holding you accountable because I love you and I want to prepare you for the real world. I'm not gonna coddle you because life ain't gonna coddle you. You feel me? Now we can talk about it. I love you. We can hash it out. But you gone abide by these rules and regulations that I said. And it's funny because one young lady, and this story never leaves me. I don't think it ever will. She was quiet. I would ask her to do something or something. She'd kind of roll her eyes or whatever. So I thought this little girl didn't like me the whole time, right? and and she wasn't like one of the super active kids, but she was there. She would come all the time. She wasn't like crazy disrespectful or anything like that. But I just thought she didn't like me. So I kept it
Mm-hmm.
moving. You know what I'm saying? Don't mean much to me. I'm gonna do my job. I
And I'm
still
still
love you
show
though.
up.
All right. And I still love you, and I ain't gonna treat you no
Mm-hmm.
different. But at the closing performance, she had a part. I can't even remember what the part was. But I remember afterwards, everybody mingled, get some cupcakes or whatever was there. And her mom comes up to me, and I don't really interact with parents until like the end or when I need to. I'm like, I'm here to teach these kids. All right. So I didn't know whose parent it was. And so she comes up and she's like, oh my God, my daughter comes home and she talks about you all the time. You've made such
Yes.
an impact on her. And boo, boo, boo. And then I'm like, oh, really? And then she was like, yeah. And then the little girl walked up and I'm like,
You like me?
literally, you
all
should
the
know how I'm talking about me all the time. This
all
one right
this
here.
time I thought you was plotting on me and you like me?
Right, and they crave that structure though. All
Mhm.
my young people that I've worked with in the past, they keep up with me. Afterwards, they trying to add me on Facebook. I give them my number, so they call and they like, Miss Natalie. They checking in. They come into some of the events and stuff I do now because about all of them grown. When that happened, but anyway,
Girl.
having kids and getting married, I'm like, what is happening
So
here?
I felt like that. I worked before the role that I'm in currently. I was a transitions coordinator for a nonprofit that housed youths that were homeless or experiencing some form of homelessness, right? So this included
You
whether they
always been out here doing this work, sis.
I mean, always. And I actually loved doing this work. And the organization that I worked for, these girls were brutal. Okay. They were putting hands on workers, all of this stuff. So when I came in, I was
Okay.
hearing about how people they had a really high turnover rate. They also had some DCFS houses, also, which would house. They had a countdown to 21 program, which meant that teenagers that were 16 and up that were in the DCFS system that stayed or had trouble staying placed had the opportunity to enter this program, and it was supposed to give them life skills. So if they started at 16, they had 5 years to get themselves on track. So by the time they were 21, they would age out of the system and hopefully be living in their own homes and being productive.
Right.
But this was not working. These kids were not doing it. And now, mind you, these kids was running folks left and right up out of this organization. I had one incident, right? And when it happened, the young lady was so upset that she had acted out the way that she did. She kept apologizing. She was like, I cannot lose you. I recognize what I did was horrible. And the executive director there just really tickled me, because when I told her that this youth had taken accountability and was sorry, she's like, I just don't understand why the youth would apologize and why she would feel the need to apologize. I said, because she crossed the boundary. I mean, but what did you do to make her do that? I said, I didn't do anything but just nothing. And I told her that I was not going to be disrespected. That was crossing a boundary. The things that I did for this particular youth wasn't in my job requirement. I mean, down to if they had an interview and there was no funds for them to get some clothes, or if they didn't have any clothes that fit in the donation room, they had like a room where they tried to make it look like a little boutique, but it didn't always have the right sizes for some of them. So I would go and spend my money. Like, I wouldn't make it no bunch of money, but I'd be like, what's your size? Let me go get you a shirt. If they needed stuff and they weren't getting enough money from the program, I went and bought it. We would have ice cream days where we would just sit and have ice cream and talk. Like, I was taking them lunch. I was showing them how to cook meals. Like, I was being a support, holding them accountable when they were wrong, but also giving them support. And a lot of them had never had that before. They had never had, mother figures that did that, or older siblings that had done that. And so I built a bond with these girls, and I showed when they called, if I could show up for them, I did. Of course, I did it within boundaries, because they wouldn't always respect those
Right,
boundaries.
Gina?
I mean, I
Yeah.
love these girls. Like, I love them, and I showed them that I love them. And I would do stuff even when Robert would be like, because I have my own bills, but it was like, one of the girls, for example, she got the job and she needed some no slip shoes for the job. And they only gave her $20. So it was like, from the fund, it was like, we got this $20. So you're just going to have to get whatever no slip shoes that you can. Now, she hadn't had her first check yet, so she didn't have any money. So I was like, okay, um, I'm gonna go and find this baby some no grip shoes, some no slip shoes. So they ended up costing like $60, and I just put the rest of them on there. Now they were like, well, we'll see if we can reimburse you for it, because I didn't say anything. I didn't even tell them. She ended up telling them about the shoes, because I had to give them the receipt for the shoes for the $20, right? And so they were like, well, they were $60, and we gave you 20. I said they were quality shoes, so this baby is gonna have these shoes for as long as she employed here. They're not gonna tear up. Like, go get her some Walmart shoes. And I said, now ain't nothing in Walmart no slip. This girl be slipping and sliding all in the back of this kitchen, and I didn't want her to have that happen. So I was like, I'll get it back in some other way. Like, it is what it is. Like, and the way she cried about me getting her these shoes, it was like, for me, it was like, okay, it was $40. It was like $40. I spent more than that on getting my nails done, So I'm like, I was gonna spend it on junk. So it was like, why not put it into somebody that's trying to do better? And this was something that these girls weren't getting. So when I had that one incident, that baby was like, I can't lose you as a person. And I accepted her apology, and I was still there for her as much as I could be there for her, because I stopped working directly with her because she ended up transitioning to another program. But while she was there, I didn't treat her no different. I said, you know how many people gave up on them, and the organization wasn't preparing these girls for living out there on the world. Like, yeah, I was hard on them, but it was in a nurturing way. And if that had have been the case, like, throughout the whole time that them babies was there, some of them was there for years and years, and they had never had that. And I had only a little bit of time to try and equip them, and then they weren't ready. They phased out of this program and they weren't ready. And I feel like that is a thing too with love that kids do need to feel when they push back the system. They're just being rebellious,
That's what
but
they're supposed to
it,
do.
it just to see what you're gonna do. They testing the waters, but
Okay.
ultimately they need structure. They need consistency. They need somebody showing up for them even when they're not their best selves, right? When they're gonna make mistakes, because we all make them, and
And
especially.
explaining through that, like a lot of times we act out of emotion when our kids do things, even like kids we teach, working with, but especially our kids. We act out of emotion, which is go and get out my face, I don't want to talk to you, or yelling or screaming or whatever they may be, instead of talking it through. So I catch it myself a lot of times with Jaleel. I'm like, something will happen, and I give him a teachable moment because I talk him through it the entire time, but he's still upset. And so we do a thing where we do a redo. And so sometimes he can't have a redo. Like this morning, I'm like, all right, wash your hands and brush your teeth, and then you can help me with. He loves helping me make pancakes in the morning. So I'm like, and then you can get the ingredients, we can make the pancakes. So I'm making it, and he's still standing there. He didn't want to. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna keep making the pancake.
Right.
And so by the time he actually did, I had already made the batter and I was ready to put it on. I had already put a batch on the griddle. So I'm like, you can do the next batch. And he's like, I want to get the ingredients. But I'm like, but babe, you missed that opportunity by your actions. Mommy asked you to brush your teeth and wash your hands. You did not. So I did it. But we can't go back in time. We can only move forward in time. Now, moving forward, you can stir what's in there and put it on this griddle. Would you like to do that? And having moments where we talk through instead of just being like, you know what, just get out my face. Because we want to do
Sure.
that. We want
That's
to.
oh, it's a time or two where I've just been like, okay, I'm gonna need what I've learned to do with them is like, I'm human and I need a minute. Like I say
Oh, I
that.
do that. I
I
do that.
say
I'd be
that
like,
all
time
the time.
out.
When I'm mad, I'm like, okay,
Time
I
out.
can't have the type of conversation with you I want to have with you right now. So we can't have this conversation right now. Then I go and deal with my feelings, and I always go back and say, "Do
But
you
that's
understand?"
that's teaching them as well, because there's gonna
Mhm.
be moments that they feel like that. When he sometimes he tell me I don't want to talk right now, and I be like, all right,
Okay,
we gonna come table it. We gonna come back to it though,
later.
but we gonna talk. But I give you your time. You know what I'm saying?
I give you your
And that's
time.
teaching them that it's okay to speak up and advocate for what you need. Because I tell him, I be like, time out. Mommy need a pause. Mommy need a break. Even when we doing schoolwork and stuff like that, and he gets a little frustrated, I tell him, I'm like, it's okay to let mommy know when you need a break. You can't just all the time need a break.
When we was coming up, our parents would be like, "You got 5 apples, okay? It's 5, and if I look at the paper, look
Oh,
at
you
the paper."
don't know what five? You don't know what that 5 apples?
So I be trying not to do that now. I just be
It
like,
be
you
hard
know
though.
what?
It be hard though.
Look, I'm gonna be straight honest with you, sis. Before we end this convo, there has been times when I have written a note to the teacher, was like, I couldn't explain it to them properly. They sought out support from me, and I could not help them. So their assignment is not done today. Um, yeah, I just wanted to let you know that they did try. So you have to give them the grade, whatever that they see fit. But mommy tried. They asked for help.
Or if
I
you can
couldn't
give them
get
a
them.
little extra
Look,
conversation, whatever needs
and
to happen.
and it's funny because believe it or not, when I've done that, I've had their teachers send it back home. Like they explain it to them, because it's not that I couldn't help them. I learned this stuff a completely different way than how they learn this stuff. And then I'm like, well, just do it my way. Like they done came to school with it the way I learned it. And if they got points deducted, it was with a note. We got the homework done. We did it the way I knew how to do it. I have not been
Because they
in
want
certain
you to write
conversations.
in specific ways and all that type of stuff. Show
Everybody,
your work
listen.
only in the way they want you to show your work. Hold
And if
on.
Khan Academy couldn't teach me, then it was like, we gonna do it how I know how to
It's the
do it. That's just
conformity
it.
for
You
me.
go this look, take
It's
it to
the
school with this
conformity.
thing.
Why they can't think outside the box and answer the question the way they think they should answer the question?
Listen, listen, sis.
Society.
I would
Listen.
have sent notes straight up to the teacher, like they tried. They tried to get their homework done. It's not their fault. They wanted help. I couldn't help them. So it's back at school undone, and then they would send it home with them so that they can do it and take it back the next day. So I would appreciate that from their teachers. But girl, I've had some times like I'm human too. I don't know. Mommy don't got. You want me to do this new mental
But the
math?
love in that is you taking the time to help them with their homework. It's some parents that one don't have the luxury, and then others that just don't do it. And
Don't do
then
it.
the other part is going the extra mile and being present and active with the school teachers. It's some
Girl.
parents that have no idea what's going on with their kids at school, don't know the teachers' names, and so to reach out and say and be an advocate for your child, and don't just send them with half done homework. You say, hey, look, we tried. Let's talk about it. Let's communicate. Keep lines of communication
Yep.
open.
And they would be worried, be like, I'm gonna get a zero. I said, and if she give you a zero and it drag your darn grade down to an F, I ain't gonna be mad. And I'm gonna be up at the school trying to explain why. I said,
Right.
so I said, because you tried. And I just always communicated with their teachers like that, which is also important with showing love to your kids. But this is such an important conversation. We didn't dive in and touch on some of the things I really wanted to touch on. So we're gonna have to revisit this conversation
Part
again.
two.
Yes,
Because
part two.
we talked about a lot of different variations of love, from parenting love, relationship love, self love. But then I started with that though. It's so many different
Because
parts.
I want to talk about the 5 love languages, which is something I was introducing to her when we were having this conversation. And she became very interested in the 5 love languages. And I was telling her
Also,
and
teaching them
Robert,
full agreements.
yes, oh yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, we this full agreements. I may just have her audio book it because I have the audio book, so she may
Yeah.
just need to listen to it. But I was talking to Robert about it, and I was like, I don't really know if I have one specific love language because I want all of them. But if I
It's
had to
touch
say,
plus, it's
look,
physical contact.
so that would be high. Like I don't function very well without that, but I also ain't gonna be happy if I don't ever hear words of affirmation, if I don't ever
You think
have
it's a
acts of
tie? They like
service.
neck and neck.
So I need because I love from all them spaces. I'm the whole, oh, I love you. I'm feeling you. Like I tell Robert he fine every day. I know he be sick of me, but I just be like, I just like looking at you. Let me just look at you.
Yes, that's how
Just
you
like
keep your
I just
man.
like looking at you today. Like I'm always in his face. I'm always hugging on him, always touching on him. Um, I love to just be like, if it's something I know he had like a bad day, I'll go to the store and be like, yeah, I got some extra stuff from the store today. Like, look, I got this. I ain't had that in a while. It's like that made me happy, Or I'll bring some little stuff home all the time, like just because stuff. So
That's
I love him
gifting,
from that
active
space.
service. That's
Yes. So I'll be all over the board. So I kind of need that reciprocity too. But
right. I need what I'm giving.
look, but I will say that physical affection is pretty high up there because I'll be ready to turn stuff over after a while if I don't get like some flipping all of this, the table,
She
the
done flipped
chair.
the table.
I mean, just knocking stuff over. I'm clumsier. I'm like way more clumsy. I don't have no patience. So it's pretty high up there on the list. So we're gonna talk about the 5 love languages and how to have those conversations with our kids moving forward on part 2 of this conversation. So join us in 2 weeks. Nat, you got
Yes.
some important things coming up. We have the mothers panel for Mother's Day, the mother the daughter conversation. One
Yes.
was had, I think, last year that we were a part of, and now there's a new
And
one
it was
this
so
year.
good. The video is still on the YouTube and the Facebook page,
Yes.
y'all. So if y'all want to go watch last year before this year comes up, please do so. It was an amazing and impactful conversation. We got so much great feedback from just the realness, the transparency, and people just identifying and learning from the conversation, men and women, which was really dope. Because some men did reach out as well and talk about what they learned from it as well. But we do a Father's Day also. But it's on May 1st. It is a virtual event. Head over to We Heal, the Healing Academy page on Facebook. Get the link. It is bit.ly /THA mother to daughter. That is the name of it. Mother to daughter, or heart to heart about womanhood.
I
We have
have shared it on my personal pages. So for those of you that have access to the personal page, I also make sure to share it in our Oh We Gonna Talk viewers group and Oh We Gonna Talk personal page also, or show page, web show page. So you
appreciate
guys
you.
can have the link. So definitely be looking out for that. But it's May 1st. Keep going, sis. I just wanted to throw it in there.
Oh, no worries. It's also on my page as well. It's important that we celebrate womanhood, but it's also important to do things like we do here at Oh We Gonna talk about these generational curses. So one thing that I'm really excited about with the panel this year, we have some grandmas on the panel, y'all. Okay, we talking to the sources. Okay. We going back some decades. So we got grandma, we got mama, and we got the young people, the young ladies
Yes.
specifically. So I'm excited to talk about that. And then we have a group of older daughters. So we have the mother, and then we have two sets of she has two older daughters, and then they all have children. And so really getting that adult connection on, like coming from a grown woman to grown woman, a real heart to heart about womanhood and the things we learn and the things we
Same
pass
way.
down. And then with the grandmother, the mother, and three daughters, there's a range in age from the daughters being 20, 16, and 14, and then the mother, and then the grandmother. And so there's a range of age all across the board. So we're going to really dive into and get these
I can't
generational
wait. This is
conversations
going to be
going.
such an important conversation, especially because that's what we do here on We Gonna Talk. We gonna talk about these generational traumas, these generational curses, and we're gonna break these cycles. And so be looking
Absolutely.
out for that. And what else other than the heart to heart that's coming up on May 1st? So that's
May
this
1st.
upcoming Sunday, y'all. This upcoming Sunday
Down
is the
here,
day.
register. If you want to be in the room to like ask questions, you can register at that link, which is bit.ly/THA mother to daughter. If you just want to check it out on Facebook, just be at the Facebook page at 2 o'clock. I'm sorry, 1 o'clock when the show starts. And because we'll be streaming it live to Facebook. But outside of that, May gonna be lit, y'all. May is lit.
Yes, talk
Let me
about
let y'all
all
know.
the other
Because
things.
our birthdays.
My birthday is Monday.
Because our birthdays.
You know, it's Taurus
Um,
season up
It's
in here
tourist
now. Taurus
season.
is taking
We
over.
in here. We
We
in the
in
building. Let us in
here.
the know. Okay.
Yes, I'll be 25 for the 14th time on this upcoming Monday.
Come
Okay,
on, sis.
I said what I said.
Yes, she did.
I,
And she
I'll
meant
be.
it.
I sure did. I'll
And
be
my birthday
25.
is May 16th, y'all. You feel me? I'm older
Yes.
than Sante. I'll be 31. You feel me?
Woo!
Um, So I'm older than her. So yes. So outside of our birthdays, we do accept cash donations,
Look, see, I be
gifts,
trying
and
not to ever
support.
do that. I just will accept a share. Okay, share, share,
Share,
share,
like, subscribe,
share, subscribe.
comment, tag some people. If you want to send some
Okay.
cash, I'll accept it. If you want to send gifts, I'll accept that too. Okay,
Well, I ain't gonna turn down no gift if somebody wants to be generous, but I also don't ask. But I don't mean I won't accept. So
right. We accept. If we ain't gonna put it
I
as the
receive
status,
it.
no cash out, but we will accept.
I receive it. I receive it. Yes, yes,
Because
yes.
some people show love that way, sis.
Look, if that's their love language and they wants to love on me, then who am I to deny them that?
Exactly.
I,
But May outside of that is busting because May 1st is the panel discussion. May 7th is a film screening where I'll be showing my documentary at their feet, along with several other amazing filmmakers, male and female, showcasing and talking about the Melanated America experience through short films and documentaries. Some are scripted, most are documentaries. And then on the 18th of May, we got the SIP Prov back again.
yes. I'm
BYOB
trying to come
improv
out for
night.
this one now. Okay.
Okay. The SIP Prov is hilarious, girl.
Not for this.
It's
I'm
fun.
sure because I need to be working on that. Because I want to work on my performance with my poetry because I'm still kind of like stage shy. Believe it or not, it's different when you reading your poems,
It's
though.
different
I mean,
because you are
when I'm
artist.
reading my
So you
yeah,
sensitive about
I'm
you.
look. It's so I feel so just out there, vulnerable and naked when I'm sharing my poetry, right? Because for the longest time, ain't nobody read it, ain't nobody hear nothing but Robert. He was the only person up in here hearing these words.
Yes, for him
Um,
being the support. Come on,
so
Robert.
yes, so I'm like, I do need to get better about that and more comfortable with sharing my poetry in bigger spaces. So I think the improv or the sip prov would definitely be beneficial for me. I will
It's
be
a
sharing
comfortable
information.
space too. One,
Okay.
because people a little litty. It's BYOB, but then also it's really just like a family. Like people come and they've been coming since the beginning of Sip Prov. Like so, it's really creating that tribe and that family of support where go ahead. We've had people perform pieces for the very first time. If you do want to perform, just let me know, and you can do the improv, but also perform a piece as well. So Sip Pride be lit, y'all. Y'all make sure y'all stay in tune on the pages for that. Also, so we got the Mother's Day, we got the film screening on the 7th, we got the Sip Pride On the 18th, we also have on the
Shantae National Holiday on May 2nd and Natalie National Holiday on May 16th.
absolutely mark your calendars for every year. Let that be a recurring reminder. Okay, put it in the
The
Google.
celebration of us.
You feel me? It's
I
a
feel
thing. No, my
I
birthday is literally my favorite holiday. It's darn near outside of Kwanzaa, the only one I celebrate.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
the second, oh, the third. This isn't my event, but y'all, you have to come out and support my mentors because, oh man, they have molded me into who I am today, an amazing woman, and it's partially because of them. Saquon Myers and Pamela Rami are my mentors. If y'all do not know, they're absolutely amazing. They are legends in theater, and film, and radio, and everything. And Paymon Rami has created a book, which I am so excited to read, which is his life. And he's been into theater and film since he was a teenager, like literally high school, planning school walkouts, which shifted the whole education system for CPS. And high school, like he's done so many amazing things for Chicago, for the culture, for the industry, as far as film and television and theater. Like I am so excited. I've heard the stories growing up. I've been knowing them since I was 15, but I am so excited to read it, like all the way through from beginning to end, his like from to beginning to present rather, his life. Like I'm so excited. So that's on May 3rd, y'all. I will be there. Y'all meet me there. It's at the Woodson Library on May 3rd at 6 p.m. Y'all come get your book signed, order your books on Amazon. It's amazing. But anyway, so May
Yes.
2nd, May 3rd, May 7th is the film screening. Then you have the 16th, which is my birthday national holiday. Then you have the 18th, which is the Silk Pride. Then another calendar you mark the book with, okay? May 21st, which is the anniversary for the Healing Academy
Woo!
family. This is how May is lit. It's about to be
Wait,
busted.
hold on. I got a question.
Yeah,
Cause
she painted.
huh?
Yeah, she painting again.
Oh, you knew what I was finna ask.
Yes, she's painting.
Cause
Dion
he stole
Victoria,
my paint last year. I ain't forgot,
Geronimo,
JJ. I ain't forgot.
Marshmallow
Oh,
Pit.
Marshall. Look, I was like, oh, it's so while she was doing it, I was like, I know exactly where I'm gonna put that when I win it. And then I was looking at the number when y'all called out the numbers. I was
You were
like,
highly upset. You knew you were gonna win that painting, yo.
I had picked out the space, honey. I knew
Listen,
where
but
it
she
was
will be
going.
live painting again and raffling off the artwork.
Can
Dion
I buy
Victoria.
multiple tickets? Wait,
You
how
can.
do
You can buy as many tickets as you want for the raffle. We have
someone
some really
right?
dope raffle prizes, huh?
Someone right about that. He shouldn't be able to put raffle tickets in this year because he won last year. He got to give us people some chance, some opportunity.
Chances. Yo, but she will be painting this year. We got some
Bet.
amazing raffle prizes, and this year we're doing something different. We'll have an in-person mixer with live performances. We will be live streaming for everybody else for it to be virtual, but at a certain point the program will end and the party will begin. So we will be having it in person, but we'll be live streaming it, the program portion, and then after it'll go into a mixer, music, drinks, food celebration. So y'all be on the lookout. The flyer will be dropping on the 1st. It's limited seating, so get your tickets asaptually, and it's gonna be super dope. We got some amazing performance. We got comedy. We got belly dancing. We got spoken word. We got a whole lot of great live music. It's gonna be dope. So that's on the 21st, our anniversary event. Again, go to the Healing Academy and Melanated in America page or my personal page, and I'll also be sharing to the We Gon Talk page all of these various events.
And I will be
And
sharing them on my pages as well. So be looking out for all of the deets for all of these
all of them,
wonderful events,
because it's
everything.
so many. Because
It's
that is it. The last one
go. What's the last one?
on
Oh,
the
the
28th.
panel. Oh, you missed the mental health panel.
Oh, dang, I did. I told y'all it's lit.
I'm like, now I know she just
It's
told me I was
so
on the whole
many.
panel.
The mental health panel is on May 14th, y'all.
Yes, I was
That's
just
also
waiting,
at the
like,
Winston Library. That's also at the Winston Library. And we got some super dope panelists. Miss Sante Harding Tate is one of them. Okay, giving all the tea. Talking about mental health with youth specifically in the work that you've done, that you've even mentioned today on this show, is definitely gonna aid you in that conversation, because we need to know what our babies need and what they're experiencing and what they're going through. But we'll also be talking about being a Black woman and what
Mm,
mental health is like there, being a Black
mm,
man and what
mm.
mental health is there. Obari Cartman will be on the panel representing Black men in mental health. And then we'll also have mental health vendors, different organizations that will be present to answer questions, to sign people up for therapy, to give information and resources. And we're gonna have performances. Chanel Lane will be performing, okay, along with other performers. So it's just gonna be a really dope event to talk about mental health in our community, and that's again at the Woodson Library, 12 o'clock on May 14th. Y'all, I told you it's busting. It's so busting, I'm forgetting events. And
Well,
then
we gonna make sure we get everything up, sis.
I'm
Give
gonna do
me
a
a
one
flyer.
pager for
I was
everybody.
gonna say, give me a one-page flyer because we running down a lot of dates. The most recent thing coming up, y'all,
May
is
1st.
this Sunday. So we looking out for information on that. We don't want people to get lost in all the magnificent things
Because
that
it's
it
so
has.
much. But the
So
last one is May 28th. That's the closing of the Melanated in America exhibition and the artist talk. But it's busting in May, y'all.
it's busting,
Bust,
busting, busting, busting. I see you, sis.
bust, bust.
I see you, sis. I
You
see
see
you
me out
out here.
here?
I
I
see
be
you
out
out
here for the culture. You
here.
hear me?
I see you
For the
out here
kids.
for the
You hear
culture.
me?
Yes, indeed. Well, we
And
gonna
for my
holler.
birthday, I'm gonna be out here for me.
Look, you better. You hold better. You know,
Listen.
it's a whole situation on the 16th, the second first, and you know when I
The
make my
second and the
when
16th. It's gonna be a whole lot of
the
situations.
14th
We're gonna
time.
be real
But
cute. We gonna y'all be mad when y'all see these pictures, y'all. We gonna meet for the first time in person in May. May is lit.
it's lit. Yes, it is. Well, we want to
Lit.
thank y'all for sticking with us tonight and coming back and hearing what we have to say each and every other Wednesday. We're going to get back on this every other Wednesday. And join us for part 2 in 2 weeks from today. That gives us to the drum roll because I'm not good with calendars here. Let me see. That gives us the 11th of May. We'll have part 2 on the love conversation. So if you are interested in having that convo with us, join us. We want to see some more men. I really want some more men perspectives.
Yes,
So
Memphis.
make yourselves available so we can have this important discussion. And until next time, y'all be safe. Bye, y'all.